Okay, hello guys. Welcome back. Hello crew. Welcome back to another Thursday. You're listening to Free to Grow with Jerome and Baga, and this is the 8th episode. This is obviously a very, information-packed and maybe controversial episode. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Before we dive into that, I just want to say hello. I hope you guys are all doing really well. I hope you guys had a great week since I talked to you guys last Thursday. That is a reminder that I drop every single Thursday on pretty much every platform that you would use unless you're on the dark web. So go listen to that. And also, if you watched any of the last, 2 episodes, because they actually took place when I was in this room, you will see that my wall has changed a bunch. I got a bunch of posters because I went to this cool record store thing sort of with some of my friends and got a bunch of posters, but I also went to, there was a poster fair that my university held, so I got a bunch of them. These two I got from the record store, and then all these other ones I got yesterday, and I love them so much. There's a Coke bottle over there, alpaca sticking out the window up there. That's a Kendrick one. It's so cool. Some fish, some random paintings, a One Piece poster. I love it. Kendrick, obviously. And then these photos all over here in this row are photos of me and my girlfriend, or just my girlfriend. And then these ones are little families that I've made along the way, nice and close to my head so I can look up and see what I'm going for. So it's just me and my siblings, me and a really important woman in my life. She was my school therapist, yada. She's my best friend. This was a canoe trip I did, and there were just a couple of friends I made there that are just family forever. This is my high school friend group, and hopefully friend group for life. They're just amazing. And this is the musical I did this year, and I just met a bunch of really cool people and a lot of great experiences. So yeah, that's pretty much my wall. I hope you like it. And past that, let's dive in, because I'm sure you guys want to hear what I'm about to yap on about. So, before we dive into this episode, regardless of your opinion of me or the world or whatever, it is important to pay respect to a life when it is lost. So, in that regard, I just want to give thoughts and prayers, and hope you guys do, to Charlie Kirk and especially his family. Regardless on your opinion of the person, I think it's important to recognize that whether or not you agree with the person, it's important to recognize the fact that Charlie Kirk's family is probably going through a very rough time right now, and that's not something you'd want to wish upon pretty much anybody. So I want to lay out a bit of a narrative here where I'm not speaking as if I'm some know-it-all, everything I say I believe 100%. I'm aware that there are going to be things I say in this episode that I might change my mind within maybe tomorrow or next week or in a couple of years. But this is just the opinion I hold now. This is not the voice of God or whatever. And it is always important to pay respect to a person when they lose their life. So please hold that narrative as well. So on that light, it's important to, you might be asking, well, Jerome, yeah, this is a pretty sensitive topic. You're not an Oxford scholar, you might not know the best. Why are you making this episode? Well, I'm making this episode because it's something that has to be talked about, because it is so often that we'll have this big news that we hear about, someone dies, someone got shot, or a war is starting, and it just passes over our head. You see everyone posting about it on their stories here and there, and then gone. And there's usually a lot that you might want to say in that moment, or that I might want to say in that moment, but maybe we don't get the chance to. And so I'm here to voice my opinion, and if it correlates with you, maybe I'm speaking for you as well. If not, then maybe you're learning a different perspective. But yeah. So, if you do not know, Charlie Kirk is, the best way to describe him is he's a right-wing activist who primarily spends his time in the United States of America, traveling from college to university, all different campuses, and has these almost open mic debates with college students, where they talk about pressing issues such as like immigration, government policies, Donald Trump, gun laws, like everything, every political issue. He doesn't only debate with university students, but that is a majority of his time. He has other works that he does as well, including more professional debates, and to a certain degree, he is a good, maybe not good, but he's maybe tactful, I don't know if that's a word, debater. Also, I forgot to say, but there is a poll. If you're listening to this on Spotify, there is a poll, so stick around to the end of the episode so you can decide if you think my opinion was right or wrong. Anyways, if you do not know, he was giving one of his open mic debate things, or maybe just a talk, I'm not sure. But he was on campus. He was sitting on a mic in front of a crowd with people, and a man asked him a couple questions about gang violence, gun violence, all this kind of stuff, and then proceeded to shoot him, and he is dead. The man who shot him obviously is arrested. I believe, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I ever searched that up. Don't quote me on that, but I'm 99% sure he's arrested. Anyways, so that's where we're at. That's where we're at right now, and that took place yesterday. That's Wednesday, Wednesday, whatever day that was. Here's the thing, okay? A lot of people, a lot of people, do not agree with Charlie Kirk's policies and ideologies. At the same time, a lot of people do agree. He is a very, his ideologies are very, very, very controversial. But the problem is, and usually the problem with controversial people, it's not just the fact that you either agree with him or you don't. It's more the fact that the people on opposite sides are not willing to hear out the other side, and the people on opposite sides hold the view of why would you think that way? If I don't agree with Charlie Kirk, I almost see people who do agree with Charlie Kirk as villainous, and why in the world would you think that way? I cannot see any reason why you'd want to think that way at all. And if you do agree with Charlie Kirk, then you view the other side the same. So there's no space for dialogue in the middle. Hence why I want to bring up this discussion. I will come forth and say that I do not agree with a lot of the things Charlie Kirk says. I'll say that right at the top of the bat. And that is no disrespect to his life or in any way. I believe that these are the conversations that he is trying to promote, talking about open dialogue about politics, and he encourages people to criticize him. That's why he goes to public events, and most of the time he's debating people that do not agree with him rather than people who do agree with him. So yeah, I'll be straight up. I don't agree with a lot of the policies that he holds, including when we're talking about abortion, when we're talking about immigration policies, talking about leaders in question, brackets Donald Trump, just on a lot of levels. However, depending on what demographic you're a part of, listening to me hear this, you're either going to think, you're either going to disagree with me reasonably or agree with me reasonably, or if you're more around my demographic, no offense, you will either agree with me completely, or you will be oh, this guy's a doofus, he's some soft liberal, yada 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 yada, all that rubbish. And if you're thinking that, don't stop the episode now, keep listening, because I promise you that you will leave this conversation with something. So my point is that the reason why I don't agree with a lot of his policies is because they are not, keyword here, universable. I think that's a word. So the topic I'm trying to play on here is universability. If you are my philosophy teacher from grade 12, you're going to be clapping your hands because You taught me this in grade 12 philosophy. But it is essentially what makes a good opinion, in my belief. A good opinion has to be universalizable. I don't know if that's a word. Someone stop me, because I do not think that's a word. Anyways, what that means is you cannot have an opinion that you hold for one set of people or one set of situations that you do not agree with in other sets of situations. Now, those situations have to be equivalent. That's like, you know what I mean? They have to be equivalent. Like, it's okay for me to slap my friend when I see like a yellow car, because like the game banana or whatever, but it's maybe not okay to slap some absolute random in the face. Like, those are not equivalent situations, and I feel like people usually get lost in debate there, where they're like, oh, but if I can do this anytime, and then they just give a completely unequivalent example. Like, no, those are two different examples. I don't think I need to explain why, but let's just not start that. So, the reason why is because I don't think they're universalizable. So, I do want to, let me pinpoint multiple. When people often talk about immigration, and this is also an opinion Charlie Kirk holds, they talk about how, like, immigration is like destroying America, or wherever country they live in, but usually it's America. They're like destroying America, they're taking jobs, yada 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 yada. And their immigrants are raping people, and they're kidnapping, they're committing crimes. Is that true for a select few individuals? Yes, it is. Is it okay to hold that view on a select few immigrants and universalize it across all immigrants? No, it is not. And if you truly believe that every single immigrant is yada yada yada, XYZ, then you need to do some research, because that is just objectively not true. That is just not true. That's not my opinion. That's not a political opinion. That is just a matter of fact. And I think it's very important to hold those matters of facts in account. And so, this is why the reason where I often feel that the people who are speaking the loudest sometimes are the people who are not very educated the most. And when I say that, I'm not even talking about Charlie Kirk. I'm talking about just sometimes when you have like a random political debate or something with your friend in the nighttime or at some random time. I hold this, and sorry, backtracking. Your opinion has to be universalizable, or else you don't actually agree with it. You can't say, like, especially for immigration, you can't say, like, immigrants from the UK or Australia or predominantly white countries are okay, but immigrants from other countries aren't okay. I do see where people can go down that loophole of being like, well, these are more likely, yes, but it is important to remember the value of a human life, which is where I started with talking about the importance of recognizing Charlie Kirk's life, and no matter the fact whether you agreed with him or not, it is important to recognize that he was a human life, and we have to pay respects to the fact that a human life was lost. Another thing, the big problem I have with right-wing, honestly, it's not even right-wing, it's just extremists on both ends of left and right-wing, just extremists. I just feel like the right-wing maybe are just, extremists are more loud in their efforts, and like the left-wing extremists don't really get that much like support, and the overall like political scale of the world has been shifting right for the past like forever, for the past like I want to say like 20 years or something, 10 years, and I feel like if you're my age or around my age, then you've definitely felt it. You've definitely felt that shift probably ever since Trump got elected like the first time. I'm not saying he is the cause of that. He has caused shifts right throughout the world. He's not the sole cause of it. There are many causes that often are attributed to one person. It's more like economic factors, political factors of the entire world. But essentially, I'm rambling on. Essentially, what I'm saying is if you're going to hold an opinion and you're going to hold it loudly, make sure that you can apply this to all. So, it is not fair, I would say, to Because the big piece here where people are holding criticism is they're saying that Charlie Kirk was very anti like really strong gun laws and like banning guns, and the States has always been a controversial topic when it comes to guns because they love their guns more than like anywhere else in the world. And so when we're flipping it back to the fact that he got shot due to the fact that gun laws are loose in the United States comparative to the rest of the world, people are like, oh, well, that didn't turn out very well. And I'm not saying that in any disrespectful way, but if you're going to hold the opinion that guns should be legal and they should be like, you shouldn't like restrict like a human's right to hold a gun, yada yada yada, they should be made even more free, then that means you also have to accept the cost that people will die from gun violence. And I don't think it's realistic for someone to hold the opinion that looser gun laws are going to protect more people. Because I just can't, the only way that would never work really, but the only way that would ever really work is for everyone to have a gun. I mean like everyone, even like toddlers. And we just like, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. You don't have to agree with that opinion. That's fine. I went on a really big ramble there. I kind of lost the point of what I was saying. But the point is, if you're going to have an opinion, make sure you can apply it to all situations. And now I'm going to talk about why that matters. That matters so much because when you are, I don't know, just like scrolling on TikTok or something, and boom, you get a big flash of news. Like you've heard about how the Nepal government is like getting overthrown. The French government, like their prime minister got kicked out. Life was found on Mars. Like there's just so much information getting flown at you all the time. These objective truths and these universal notions that you hold will steer you through that. If you listen to episode 2 of this podcast, I was talking about finding a center. That was more about finding a center throughout your entire life, but that same principle can be applied here. For example, one of my universal notions is that killing is never justified. That is the notion I hold. And so you won't hear me saying like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's glad that happened. Like, no, it's not, because I'm also not super like locked in or like focused on the situation of Israel and Palestine, but I am definitely focused. I couldn't name you like a bajillion facts off the top of my head, but I definitely am focused. And I think what's happening in Palestine is really an atrocity, and a lot of people are dying. And so this is going to be flipping it back. If you are one of the people that hold the opinion that it's okay to kill Palestinians, then you cannot flip the script back here and say it is not okay. It is not okay to kill Charlie Kirk. I don't believe it was okay that he was killed. At the same time, I don't believe that it is okay that Palestinians should be killed. You can't hold both. Like, you can't hold two different opinions. Especially when it comes to matters of life and death. And so, it's important to have a good opinion, because with so much going on in the world, constantly, your opinion matters. Because we're getting to a point in the world, as there's more and more controversial news flooding out onto news outlets every single day, and the world shifts more right, and there's so much conflict in the world, it's like actually insane, especially if you're at a young age. We're at a point where you can't just say it's just politics, because it's not. It's not just politics. Politics is literally everything. And I think the quicker you realize that, the more, well, you'll realize more negative things about the world, but you will also hold a more secure and better moral position. And I say that because politics are your morals. If you, like, believe that it was okay that he got killed, then that is a part of your morality. That means you are holding human life to a lower standard than others are. If you are pro like mass immigration, even for people who like are there legally or are not committing any crimes and are boosting the economy, then that means that is a comment on your morality, because it means you are prioritizing the needs of few over the needs of many. It also means that you're not being as informed in certain things as you should always. Again, this is my opinion, but there is a lot of truth in the statements I am saying. If you are like a straight up racist, then it's maybe commenting that you may be closed-minded. You can't separate politics and your morality, because politics affects everything. If you can think of one thing in the entire world, the entire earth, that politics does not affect, then please feel free to DM me that. But I assure you, it does not exist. Politics controls food, it controls the weather when it comes to how much we're polluting and all that kind of stuff, our environment. It includes education, healthcare, how long you are going to live. Life medicine, we're talking about money that goes into research. We're talking about country borders, everything. Everything. And so it is important to be aware. It is important to hold certain truth in yourself, where you reach a point where you're like, okay, I'm okay holding this opinion, and for now, any situation that would come my way, I would still hold this opinion. It's fine if you don't have those right now on the spot, but I would encourage you to develop those very quickly. And sooner rather than later. That's the better way to put it. And so I will talk about politics more here and there. I really do love talking about politics, as I do in Mali UN. But it's not sometimes it's very serious topics, so maybe I won't be doing that too much. But in terms of my opinion, I believe that Charlie Kirk was a right-wing activist that, maybe not on purpose, but spread lots of hate and misinformation, especially to the younger demographic, because young people often do not hold those objective truths. We often do not hold those notions that are universalizable, and that's a very big problem, because then you see a random clip on TikTok of some dude talking about how an immigrant's going to take your job, and all of a sudden, you, at the bright age of 18, you might not even have a job, or you're just working a random job somewhere in a mall or a store, believe that immigrants are coming to take your job, and now you hate immigrants. So it's important to keep your mind open. It's important to hold a few select truths, and then keep your mind open to everything else. My opinion is that he unintentionally or intentionally, I believe intentionally, segregated people out of his definition of great America, and he helped create, in recent years, he helped create the society that was eventually his death. Do I believe his death was justified? No, I do not believe that. And when I say he helped create that, I mean he was very pro-gun laws, all that kind of jazz. But at the end of the day, his life should not have been taken. And absolute thoughts and prayers going to his family. I know he has a wife and 2 kids, I believe, and anyone else, his friends, family, anyone else. If you felt some sort of connection, I'm sorry for that too. A human life should never be taken for granted. And that's my opinion. So answer the poll. Do you believe that my opinion was correct, or was it wrong? If you want to just comment on this, give me more feedback on why you think I'm wrong, or why you think I'm right, or anything, then shoot me a DM. If you want to hear your thoughts and opinions heard on this podcast, then click the link in my bio. It should be on Spotify, on the description of this podcast, but it will also be the link in my Instagram bio. Click the link. There's a space for you to submit it. It's anonymous, or you can say who you are. Doesn't matter. But thank you for tuning in. The world is really, really, really crazy. And I think anyone who says they know like exactly what's going on and all their opinions are correct are just wrong. They're just wrong. So just to close off, hold a few select truths that you know what like will be your compass through the political world, and then keep your mind open to everything else. Don't think you're always 100% right. Don't think that, because then you're going to eventually end up being wrong. Hold the notion that you can be wrong, because you're not like all-knowing being kind of thing, right? But anyways, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you liked it. New episode next Thursday. I had a great time talking to you guys, and yeah, bye crew.